It's the end of pandemic year 2020, and what better way to celebrate in the Netherlands than with a lockdown New Year's and no fireworks? Of course, we're all going to do our part to obey these very important corona protocols, right? Dutch people are like, false true. Greg Shapiro here, the American Netherlander, with a United States of Europe year in review. And yes, this episode will be in English because of corona and droplets, and the Dutch language is too gevaarlijk. Good news, as we speak, the first of multiple corona vaccines is being rolled out in the United States at warp speed. Well, sorry, not warp speed. It's actually slower than expected, with some delays which were expected, just no one told us about that. Whereas in the Netherlands, they're just more upfront and direct. Yes, we have permission to start vaccinating and the rest of Europe is already vaccinating, but we have no intention to start vaccinating until sometime because it is not possible. It is simply not possible. Not possible, which means it is possible, but I don't like to work during the holiday. Still, I'm happy to be located in the Netherlands because America is a very divided country in 2020 between the blue states and the red states. The red stands for COVID cases. I mean, I've been living in the Netherlands for 25 years now, and that whole time, my family back in America, they're like, well, when are you moving back? When are you coming home? And now, in 2020, is the first time they started asking, what is life like in Europe? Like, could we maybe move to the Netherlands with you? And I told them, nay, full is full. So, don't panic. I mean, never before have I been more proud to be half Dutch. In fact, in the year 2020, maybe I've never come closer to learning the true meaning of the Dutch term leedvermaak. But now, let's take a deeper look into the year 2020. This year, of course, was dominated by the coronavirus, or here the artist's rendering of the virus, and here the artist's rendering of the year 2020. 2020 was, of course, hard on the economy, like the theater sector and the airline sector. Theaters which have to close again completely, while airlines are able to remain at full capacity for most of the year, because of course airlines can always put the top down for better ventilation. That's just economics 101. Personally, I was happy to perform for 30 people at a time because I was performing in theaters at 20% capacity before it was cool. Actually, to be honest, I was doing pretty full comedy shows in the Netherlands in January, February, even up until the 7th of March, when I got invited to host a show in Tilburg, which at that point was ground zero of the coronavirus outbreak in the Netherlands. We were as safe as possible backstage and on stage, but in retrospect, there's no way that show should have happened. And now, for so many people, the show must go on is not going on. And cinemas? Again, it's now showing nothing starring nobody, or in Amsterdam, a marquee saying, "What are you doing here? Go home." It all started back in March with the coronavirus lockdown and the Prime Minister telling us no more handshakes while ending his press conference with a handshake. Truly the #1 TV series this year has been the pandemic press conference with new breakout star Irma, the sign language interpreter, creating the sign language word of the year, hamsteren, aka hoarding. In March, the Prime Minister gave his first speech from his office in Het Torentje, telling everyone to relax, you'll probably eventually get the virus, just not all at once. Rutte got a lesson in nudge theory when he told everyone not to do panic buying, and everybody went panic buying, because you can't spell pandemic without panic. Toilet paper in particular was in short supply. I mean, this stuff doesn't grow on trees. And there wasn't just a shortage of toilet paper TP, but also PPE. Personal protective equipment, specifically protective face coverings. The Dutch government saying, yes, you should wear a mask, but you don't have to wear a mask, largely because we don't have enough masks. I mean, we could get some from China, but we just told them to krijg de tyfus. And so that is when the Netherlands adopted the Swedish model of corona response, specifically, just make it yourself. That's it for part 1 of this 2020 year in review. I'll follow up next with part 2, and until then, thank you very Dutch. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Nobody does that. You should clearly subscribe.